So ladies, what is your key is probably a keeper green flag? Story number 1. My wife and I have an understanding. If one, or both, of us gets annoyed at something, we give each other space until one or both of us has calmed down, and then talk it over. 99% of the time we realize it's pointless shit we never should have gotten worked up over anyway. And this realization has helped have even fewer disagreements. We have a healthy relationship. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. Story number 2. Shortly after I started dating my now fiancé, he and I took my then 3-year-old sister out for frozen yogurt for her birthday. He helped her eat hers, since he didn't want any and I was eating mine. Then he taught her to play Connect 4 and let her do the 3-year-old thing where they make up their own rules, so they win. At one point, she looked up at him over her shoulder and said, "You're the best big brother in the whole world. She doesn't have any other brothers, so he's her first." My heart melted, and I became 100% certain that he was who I needed. To this day, if my sister is asked who her sisters are, he gets listed with the rest of us, usually before me. He's definitely a keeper, and I'm super grateful for him. Story number 3. Work had shipped me from my home in Canada to the UK for 3 months, and for the first time in my life, I was actually homesick. My then boyfriend, who didn't really know my friends well yet, dropped them a line letting them know I'd really love to hear from them. But don't tell me he'd asked them to do it. He's an introvert too, so very out of character for him to approach people like that. I didn't find out he'd done this until we'd gotten engaged, and my friends were glad. I'd finally realized he was the one for me because they all knew back when he asked them to help with my homesickness. We've been married 14 years now. Story number 4. My boyfriend and I are currently having to conceal the fact that we are dating from my parents. It's complicated. Anyway, my boyfriend is more understanding of their feelings and point of view than I am, has never said anything negative about them, tries to keep me from getting angry about it. Another man would have told me to ditch my relationship with my parents as too much work. His support is what makes it possible for me to maintain a normal life. Story number 5. He takes me seriously, even if what's upsetting me seems ridiculous. My favorite example. I suffer from nightmares, not just regular bad dreams, but nightmares that are terrifying irrespective of the contents. The first time I had one of those while we slept together, he woke up as I was crying next to him. He took it seriously even though what I explained that made me sad and scared me in the dream made no sense. If I remember correctly, my dragon had traded its wings for butterfly wings and had in the process lost the ability to hear. It was sad, and I couldn't comfort it, and for some reason I knew this thing would lead to its death, and he scared me shitless. I had trouble going back to sleep, and he started nodding off. He caught himself falling asleep and didn't want to leave me alone there. So he sat up, put my head in his lap, and stroked my hair until I started falling asleep. Then he lay down again, which woke me up a little bit so he would hold me and stroke my hair again until I fell asleep in his arms. Never before did I manage to sleep so well after one of my serious nightmares. Story number 6. I had been out of a relationship with a critical narcissist asshole for not that long. If something happened, it meant I caused it or did it wrong. Especially when cooking, he would hover over me and tell me how I was cutting carrots or onions wrong or not using enough heat or whatever. Mind you, he was no chef, but he loved telling me how my way was wrong in everything. Fast forward to a camping trip with my new boyfriend. I was frying up bacon on the camp stove. To my surprise, it stuck to the pan immediately. Usually the fat greases the pan. He came over to see how breakfast was coming, and if I needed help, and I was spewing apologies left and right. "I'm so sorry, this is so stuck and shredded. I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry," he says. "It doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be bacon." I married him. Story number 7. I think all the green flags for me boil down to them being a person who shows you they're committed to being a team with you. Like maybe you mention how a friend's boyfriend is a bit rude or sexist. Then later when that boyfriend makes some stupid remark to get a rise out of you, he'll make a funny comment as an in-joke between the two of you to show you he's on your side. He makes you laugh when you're sad by singing funny songs or patting your back in that way that only he can do. Maybe he makes you coffee exactly the way you like it or turns up at your work with a muffin on a bad day. He has a way of touching you that makes you feel treasured and valuable. He calls when he says he will and follows through with plans. He makes an active choice every time one is offered to commit to your relationship. Story number 8. We had been dating almost 2 years at this point, but this definitely helped solidify it for me. My boyfriend had to go to Boston for a conference, and I couldn't go with him because I was in university and had exams at the same time. First time we've ever really been apart for a while, so he knew I'd really miss him. He gets there, finds out hotel has no internet, which was how we planned on talking while he was there. Unknowingly to me, until he got back and told me. He walked back to the airport every night just to get Wi-Fi to say goodnight to me. It was super sweet. We are still together, celebrated 5 years in May and moving in together next year. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.